Thank you very much, Dr. Shinidev, for having me in your course and for the kind words. Now, as has been spoken by the earlier speakers, you started with conventional LASIK, wherein you were looking at using a microkeratome to create a flap and then using an excimer laser to do the modulation of the surface. Went on with the femto, you had the FS60, then actually it came with 15 Hz, 60 Hz, and then 150. So that went on to the blade-free LASIK, wherein the femtosecond laser would create the flap and the excimer laser would reshape the cornea. And now we have the no flap single-step procedure, which is the SMILE procedure. I have seen over the last 2 years the interest in SMILE increasing exponentially. And if I have to put my money on any technology after the availability of this technique, I think this is where it's going to go. If you just look at the trend within India, the people who are sitting here, and Dr. KP just told me he's also ordered a SMILE. I think Amar has also ordered a SMILE. So anybody who has a big refractive practice is moving towards SMILE. And the ifs and buts, whenever there is a new technology that comes, there are some questions that it brings along with it. But I think the learning curve, Rupal made it smooth for us, and the investigators in the Carl Zeiss made it very smooth for us. Now, the Relax SMILE is basically a minimally invasive procedure wherein a lenticle is created, and through the small incision you remove this particular lenticle. Now what this essentially does is that there are advantages of this procedure, that this procedure makes it a flapless procedure. Whenever you talk to a patient, connecting to a patient is so very simple. The simple example I give is a keyhole surgery. If you have to do a gallbladder surgery, would you want your abdomen to be slit open, or you would want to go through a laparoscopic? So this is similar to that you are going through a keyhole surgery, you are not creating a full flap, and this makes it an all femto procedure. And as Dr. Rupal was saying, typically it takes, she was saying 12 minutes, typically for me it takes about 10 minutes for the patient to lie down and get out. And it is a single step procedure as it is. I think you have seen these videos by everybody. So this is the first lenticle pass, that is the posterior, that is happening. Good OBL, and as you can see what Dr. Rupal was saying, in this particular case the second pass starts from the center to the periphery, so you don't have accumulation of the OBL. Now you go ahead and this is the incision that is there, and you move on to the microscope. And as you move on to the microscope, the patient, you go vertically, as you can see here. After going vertically, you just go upwards to the anterior dissection. That means that the gap has to be dissected from the lenticle, and then you go below the lenticle and just create the two planes. This, I think, is the one most important step of the procedure, identifying the two planes. And that is, then you just go ahead and separate one, and you have certain intricacies that as you can come to anybody's center and find out as to whether you are anterior or you are posterior, depending upon the amount of OBL that is there. And now when you see we are going below, you will see that as we cross this edge, there will be a lift. Can you see that lift? So this lift suggests that you are on the undersurface. If you do not get this lift, that means you are above the lenticle, and then you separate out the lenticle, and it comes out smooth and easy if all the things are broken. One thing is that you should not break from one particular side, because then the lenticle rolls over. So it's better to leave a little bridge on both the sides before you do the final dissection, and there you can see that's the lenticle being taken out. Now this is really a fantastic procedure, most pleasing to the eye, and also the other important thing is that it is least intrusive onto the cornea. So when you are looking at the cornea, you are making a 2 to 3 millimeter incision slash a 22 millimeter incision. When you are looking at the corneal nerves come from the periphery and dichotomize and go in. So if you are making a flap at 9 millimeters, you would be transacting all the corneal nerves right from the top to the bottom. But when you are coming down to a 6.2 millimeter zone, optical zone, the nerves have arborized by that particular time, and therefore you have less cutting of the nerves. The biomechanically, there are studies which are coming, but it is still going to take some time to actually prove how much stronger the cornea remains in a smile as compared to a full flap. The refraction predictability is very good, as you can see, and surgical alignment, etc. is very good, and it is an exact aspheric correction that you have. This you have, Dr. Rupal has already talked, so we will not go through this particular thing. But when you look at the results, the outcomes as reported by the MVLC Secretary group is that you can see that there is an increase in the vision and then it remains very stable. So as we have become better, as manipulation and tissue handling has decreased, the results are 6669 even next day. But the stability of the vision is something that you need to look at, and the brightness of the results, as you can see, is better than what you would see when you are using an excimer laser. This is a contralateral eye study this was a study that was done by Dr. Rupal, in which femtoLASIK versus SMILE, 25 patient, 2 groups. This is the range, and you can see that the SMILE and the femtoLASIK were pretty good. But when you look at the safety profile, you see that the SMILE comes out better than as compared to the LASIK. The efficacy, as you can see, between the femto and the SMILE scores over it, and as I told you, as regards the stability, the SMILE scores over the femto-LASIK. When you are looking at the corneal wavefront, the analysis showed that there was a statistically significant difference in the horizontal coma that was induced, and there was higher horizontal coma that was induced in the femto-LASIK group as compared to the SMILE. The cutting of the flap in itself has been shown by several studies. You just cut the flap and put it back. That itself induces abrasions which are there. So this is if you compare the point spread function as was shown in the last talk by Dr. Rupal, you can see that the point spread function is much better. And if you look at the charts, the image simulation is also much better. There are several studies which have shown that as for the thought process that I told you, because you are cutting less corneal nerves, the cut being smaller and being more central. That is why you have less induction of dry eyes in these particular cases. And when you look at the wound healing and the inflammation that is there, that is thought to be a reason for the dry eye to be less also. Now, is SMILE stronger than LASIK and PRK? This is a Dan Ramstein study which is there. Now, when you are looking at a cornea, the post-op tensile strength, what would be the post-op tensile strength of a cornea? That would be equivalent to the area under the ablation curve, that is, you have this is a flap, this is an ablation that is there. So the tensile strength is only this gray area that is under the curve. Now when you look at the post-op tensile strength in a LASIK, apart from the PRK, you also have the flap. So this is the flap, this is the ablation, and then this is the area. So LASIK becomes worse than PRK. And when you look at SMILE, nowadays Dan Ramstein says that you should do the cap at 180 because you are removing the lenticle from the posterior stroma or mid stroma rather than removing the lenticle from the anterior stroma, and the anterior stroma is thought to be more involved in providing post-op tensile strength. So if you look at this, since it is joined at the periphery, the post-op tensile strength in a SMILE is equivalent to the top, that means what is still above the lenticle, and also the area which is below the lenticle. So this is what is being thought about the biomechanical stability and the strength of the cornea. As of now, there are SMILE has been around for a long time, but as far as literature goes, there are still no or very infrequent reports of ectasia following SMILE procedure. Now, the surgeon's skill is required a little more than what you do in a LASIK. It is a surgeon's surgery, and it is a single-step surgery, and much better than what you have. Now, if you look at a SMILE procedure, even if you have a subfill loss, just see in this particular case, this is the lenticle that has been cut. You can see it's coming here, and then you have. Can you see this? Can you see this fluid coming here? Look at this fluid. So basically it's a gentle suction, and the chances of losing suction in smile are a little more than the tough suctions that you have. Suction loss about 1 to 2% has been reported, but all that we have done is that if the suction loss is after the second pass, you just go back with the same cone, the machine will come back to the same place where it wants you to start, and you can run it again. So this is having a suction loss. You don't lose anything. It's only if you are making the posterior, the first part of the lenticle, if you lose it at that time, then you can convert it into a flap. So there is no problem, you can convert it into a flap. In this particular case, you are going ahead, and you can see I'll just go forward, there is no problem, you can just separate it out as you can see here, and the smile will be completed as you can see in this particular case without much of a problem. That's the lenticle that we will be taking out now. So you can see that's the lenticle that has been taken out. So even if you have suction loss, you are not losing anything in case of smile technology. Now enhancements I just showed you some time back. You can have the circle smile this thing. If you are making thicker caps, then you can make a thinner flap. If you are making a cap of 160 or 180, you can easily make a 90 or a 90 or a 100 flap, and in the circle you can do this. It has been very well shown that the incidence of epithelial ingrowths is much higher in retreatments on lifting the same flap. So in a smile, there was no flap which was there earlier, so you are creating a new flap, and therefore the incidence of the epithelial ingrowth is much less as compared to LASIK retreatment. So finally, I would say the evolution of refractive surgery is heading closer to the preservation of the corneal biomechanics. Relax smile is the latest technique to follow this pattern of preserving corneal biomechanics. I tell you, I have been in the discussion with other companies. Every other company is today trying to look at coming to something which is similar to smile. And believe me, I can put all my money that I have earned that this is a technology that is going to be the future of refractive surgery. Another important point for the refractive surgeons is that we are aiming to achieve an abrasion-free treatment. If you do a topography of a smile patient, you get bang 6.2. But if you do a topography of an eczema patient, you never get a 6.2 as an ablation. You can see that the ablation is much smaller. The incidence of decentration is has been shown much less in smile as compared to an eczema laser. And smile is one step closer to the quest of emetropia and towards the quest of invading the integrity of the cornea the least. It is the most cornea friendly procedure that is there. Thank you very much for your kind attention.